Welcome to the Modern Heroine's Journey, Essential Lessons for Today's Leaders. And this is the September monthly meeting for 2022 of Female Wave of Change Canada. It's great to see so many familiar faces and also a number of new ones. So welcome you all. And I would like to acknowledge you for taking time out of your busy lives to be with us tonight. This evening, through an interactive and engaging process, you will explore the heroine's journey and its relevance for today's leaders. You'll discover the stages in that journey. You'll identify where you are on the journey. And finally, you'll identify the challenges and the gifts of each stage of the heroine's journey. As I mentioned at the outset, this evening is brought to you by Female Wave of Change Canada. And we are part of a global social movement that's now in about 40 countries. And I'm proud to be the ambassador for Canada. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pam Thompson, and I'm proud to be the ambassador for Canada of this movement. And my role is to grow the community, obviously with a team, and build it in Canada. So in order to do that, I incorporated a national member-based nonprofit in December of 2020. And the rest is history, so to speak. And we believe that feminine leadership holds the key to creating a better world, a more conscious, equitable, just, sustainable, and peaceful one. And when I speak about feminine leadership, I mean qualities such as inclusiveness, creativity, collaboration, emotional intelligence, many qualities that are associated with the feminine. That said, men as well as women can have them. And as I mentioned before, we do have a number of men in our movement, although the focus is on women. So as we proceed tonight, those folks of you who are new, what we typically do is I open up, or one of the board members opens up and has a conversation with our featured guests. And we open up so that you can also interact with the featured guests. So encourage you to interact and share your thoughts as well. Then we'll go into breakouts where you'll have the opportunity to deepen the conversation and introduce yourself to the folks in your breakout. And then we'll spend a little bit of time sharing a little bit more about who we are and the benefits of being members to our organization. So it gives me great pleasure this evening to introduce our featured guest, Laureen Nowlan-Card, who is also, just so you know, our new vice chair. Laureen Nowlan-Card has had a successful career as a lawyer and has repurposed her skills to support professional women in business and leadership. She's the creator of Heart of the Heroine, a certified women's empowerment coach since 2014, an emotional liberation facilitator, a speaker trainer, a podcast host, yogini, and devoted mom. And I understand that Laureen doesn't sleep. So maybe she needs to take SAR's course. SAR, yes. I'm teasing. Laureen is on a mission to change the world one woman at a time by supporting women to share their ideas in both their personal and professional lives. Laureen guides women to release their self-doubt and limiting beliefs and to work with their emotions so they can attain increased joy and peace and live their best lives. Laureen also leads women's public speaking training, where she creates a safe and inspiring container for women to unleash the brilliance of their voices and ideas. Laureen's podcast, Women Leading Change, is dedicated to amplifying the voices of women who are leading positive change in the world. Laureen is also the founder of The Oasis, a community of women in business and leadership, which she describes as a soft place to land where everybody understands you. Welcome, Laureen.
Thank you, Pam. I don't do it all at once, so I do actually sleep.
You obviously pace yourself well. So I'm sure we're all curious to know, what is the heroine's journey?
Thank you so much. Before I begin, I do want to do the acknowledgement of our territory on my behalf and on behalf of Female Wave of Change. We are acknowledging with gratitude and respect the traditional territories of the Lekwungen peoples, represented here by the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, and the Wasanek peoples, represented by the Sarlip, the Pakujan, the Tsewit, and the Saikum and the Malahat nations, who have for thousands of years cared for these lands and waters where our ancestors were colonizers, and I now have the privilege to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Laureen.
What is the heroine's journey? Well, the heroine's journey by title is a book that was authored by Maureen Murdoch in 1990. A lot of people know the hero's journey, but not so much the heroine's journey. The hero's journey was a concept created by Joseph Campbell and then popularized prior to 1990. And it talked about the outward journey of any person. And Maureen Murdoch worked with Joseph Campbell. She's a psychotherapist, and she had 30 years at that, or 25 years plus at that point, of working with women in her practice. And she felt that the hero's journey didn't apply exactly to women. It felt a little off for her. So she went to the drawing table, studied her findings, and discovered and created a different concept, which is the heroine's journey. And what it is essentially is a concept of a woman's life, or a portion of her life, in the cycle that has 10 stages. And we'll talk about those 10 stages tonight, but it begins with the separation from the feminine and ends at the circle of the end of the cycle of union, of wholeness between the feminine and the masculine.
Thanks, Laureen. We have a question here. Has anybody heard of the heroine's journey before? Just show of hands, and I would ask that you use the reaction button, which is on the lower part of your screen, and just hit the raise hand so we can see you all if that's the case. Anybody heard of the heroine's journey before tonight? I mean, obviously you heard about the name of it, but can I ask Asma or someone to help me with the numbers? Because oh, I see, here we go. I'm getting it on the side here. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a lot of people that haven't. Out of 20 of us who are here right now, there's 6 who have their hands raised. And I want to say that before Laureen introduced me to the book and to the concept a few months ago, I hadn't heard of it either. I think I knew all about Joseph Campbell's, but when I started to read Maureen Murdoch's book, it's actually a really interesting read. I was really amazed at how much I resonated with it. I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about me. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to hearing more and learning from you, Laureen, this evening, as I'm sure the rest of you are.
Right.
So can you share with us the phases in a typical journey, Laureen?
I can. I'm just going to start my timer for this so I don't get off track. The phases, I just want to share a slide with you. I think it'll make this a little bit easier for you to conceptualize. And so and something's going on with my computer. It wants me to log into iTunes, but I don't want to do that right now. 1 second. There we go. Okay. Coming back. Can you see my screen, Pam?
Yes, it looks good.
All right. I'll just move this over here a little bit. So the phases, let's move my little screen over here. So as I said, start with the separation from the feminine. And that is, we'll talk about the characteristics of each of them, but just briefly to give you an idea, in a culture where the dominant culture is seen as better than or more superior, there's a separation from that culture by the minority. And in this case, we're talking about patriarchy and the feminine. And just to be clear, patriarchy is a cultural concept. It is not about man versus woman. It is about masculine and feminine concepts and traits and values. So in this case, we're talking about a separation from the feminine because the predominant culture creates a culture where the feminine is felt to be and believed to be inferior. So the child or young woman separates from the feminine because in her survival mode, she does not want to be identified with the feminine because it's inferior. Then comes identifying with the masculine and gathering allies. This is aligning with the masculine, which may be a person or it may be simply by concept. So taking up masculine types of traits. And on the life journey, she comes against roads of trials where she meets dragons and ogres like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And then she moves on and she finds success. So she's slayed the dragons and beat the ogres, and she's successful. And for many women, this is getting to a successful place in their career or having a family, buying a house, reaching some form of success that they've been working towards. But the success falls hollow because it's been gained by ignoring, abandoning, and forgetting parts of herself, the feminine. And this can also happen for a masculine identifying person. So a man, he's forgotten his feminine parts as well. So for a woman, because I'm focusing on this, she feels drained, like there's nothing. What is life for? Why have I gone through all this trouble and this is all there is? So an emptiness, a spiritual aridity is how Maureen Murdoch describes it. And it's usually brought on by a loss, a change, a major life change, such as divorce, financial crisis, death of a significant other or a parent or someone very close. Even a job change or a move can bring it on. And this is the next phase, is the initiation and descent to the goddess. So this is the typical dark night of the soul, where everything feels like it's falling apart and you don't really know who you are anymore. You feel like you're in the dark, and it's a very difficult time. But in that darkness, some things happen, which we'll talk about in a minute. There is light on the other side of the darkness. And when we come out of that, we find that we're yearning for reconnection with the feminine. And when we align ourselves more with feminine, maybe we take up a creativity, a type of hobby that we used to really love, but we moved away from, or we align ourselves with other women who are like-minded and like-hearted, and we begin to play more in the feminine ways of being. We inevitably are healing our mother-daughter split, which can be a daughter and mother in the traditional sense, where we've split from our mother in a way that there's because of the feeling of inferiority of the feminine. Or it may be if the mother-daughter relationship is intact, then it's a healing of the internal feminine, the mother-daughter split within. And then the last two parts of the cycle are healing the wounded masculine. And this is where we identify again with the masculine, but in a different way. So we are bringing in our masculine again after re-identifying, connecting with the feminine. And now we're at a place of integrating the masculine and the feminine. That is the cycle of the heroine's journey, created and authored in 1990. And I've been following this for at least 15 years. And I haven't seen any major shifts in it yet.
I think it's quite fascinating. Like you shared a bit about each stage here, but would you like to give a little bit more specificity around how one knows where she is on this particular heroine's journey, Laureen?
Mhm. Right. Um, so most of us at our age would have already separated from the feminine. We've probably already been identifying with the masculine and aligning ourselves with the masculine. And we're on our road of trials. We're doing life. We're probably somewhere between the road of trials and integration of the feminine and masculine. And if you've had a descent into the darkness, then you're obviously on the other side. And I should say that there is a concept that this can continue over again. So you can have more than one descent, more than one dark night of the soul in your lifetime. But if you've come to that place, then you know that it is a place of not knowing, of transition, really difficult. Basically, it's that place where you're on your knees. You are not sure what your next step is. And in that darkness, it allows you to fall apart because you really have no choice. You've been trying to keep it together by identifying with the work hard, don't listen to your body, don't listen to your intuition, work hard, produce more, and get more done. That's the masculine type of produce cycle. So
So,
when you come to the place of the initiation and the descent, you're falling apart.
so I guess burnout would be an example of that. Is that correct?
Burnouts, exactly. It's kind of the the word for the dark night of the soul. And so you're falling apart and you have no choice but to let yourself fall apart. Some people have a more difficult time than others. So when you're in this dark place, the gift of it is that you are able to let go. You're able to let go of the shoulds and the scripts and the beliefs that are created by identifying with only a part of yourself. And when you let go, you allow yourself to start finding other parts that you've forgotten about. So, to put a kind of mythical storyline to it, I see this as the woman in the darkness of the cave, naked, crumbled, and she starts searching around by feeling, and she finds these pieces that she forgot she left there. And some of them are glorious, like an ability to draw or paint or sing or or weave grass into baskets, or any of these beautiful parts of herself that she had to let go, or she thought she had to let go in order to fit in to the masculine uh, road of trials. And so if you are feeling like you're in that place, I guess the biggest gift of the heroine's journey is knowing that there is light on the other side of the tunnel, and that you're not alone. For me, finding this was like you say, if you read the book, it feels like she's talking about me. Like I could see myself in all those different places. And knowing that other people had walked the same path for decades meant that I too could survive it, and that I wasn't alone. So then the yearning, if you're really yearning to connect with the feminine, you're finding yourself wanting to go to goddess circles, or finding yourself wanting to reintegrate with your nature, with the earth. Many of these sort of more what are described as feminine pursuits, you are in the yearning stage. If you're healing a split in yourself or with your mother, you can see where you are, and healing the wounded masculine. I haven't been there yet, so but it's described as reconnecting again with that part of yourself that, again, you had to let go of in order to reconnect with your feminine. So yeah, I hope that I could say more, but let's leave it at that. I think if people have questions, it's probably the best way to identify where they are on the journey.
Does anyone have a question, or do you see yourself? I guess the first question is, how many of you see yourself reflected in the framework? Again, if you can use the reaction button, that'd be great. Let's see. So a few people have raised their hand.
That's great.
Barb, do you want to share? Do you want to share how you see yourself, or how the framework resonates for you?
Yeah, I've heard of it before, and yeah, it's similar to the hero's journey, only from a feminine perspective. So yeah, where do I see myself now? I would say, yeah, between healing the wounded masculine and integrating it again with the feminine. But I've definitely went through all the phases before that and had my own burnout and initiation and dark night of the soul. But as Laureen pointed out, that is the gateway, the portal for you to awaken and reconnect to your feminine side. So that's what happened for me. And then I realized, yeah, part of the reason that I had that journey was I was focusing or aligning with too much of my masculine energy versus feminine. So when you get to that place of balance again, then yeah, you can integrate it. And I think that's the most powerful place to be for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my experience.
Thanks, Barb. Appreciate that. I think we have time for one more share at this point. So I'll pick somebody who's new to the group, hasn't shared yet. I'm just looking. Actually, Cami, do you want to share?
Sure. I think I'm mother wound going to the next place, in between there and I can't remember what the next place is, but I can see myself in that process, and I can see myself kind of, I think, going to a place and then back to a place and then forward to a place and then back to a place. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, I can definitely see the process.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not linear.
Okay, thanks, Laureen.
I think we have time for one more question. If somebody has a question or a share. If no one has a question, I'll take another share. Okay, Evelyn. Okay, sorry. Who's
I've got a question, Donna.
Donna?
Laureen, what does she identify as what the healing steps of reintegrating the masculine?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Guess I'm still muted, sorry.
No, you weren't. I just didn't hear it very well.
What are the steps that she identifies? Like, how do you know when you're rehealing the masculine? I think I've been around this cycle to that point about at least 3 times in my life, and I believe I'm there. I don't know exactly what the steps are to do that.
She doesn't identify specific steps for reintegrating the masculine. Like any feminine process, she acknowledges the possibility that it can be different for different people. There are no particular steps outside of the framework, but you can see it in perhaps having more compassion. So being able to see things from the masculine perspective. If you're talking about identifying with a person, you might be in a place of healing a relationship with the masculine person from your past, father, for example. but also identifying the masculine in you. And instead of disliking it, actually liking that part of yourself. So you now love your feminine parts and you love your masculine parts. So really this journey is about wholeness and self-love, but not just of parts of yourself, all of yourself.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if that answers the question. I think that my belief is that you can go through this more than once, but that it's a spiral. I like to think that each time we go through, we take a deeper swath of the path, and we get a little closer to unconditional self-love.
Thank you. Well said.
Evelyn, do you want to ask a question or share something?
Just quickly, Laureen, you touched on it. You said just briefly, it's not linear. And that was my question is, can you enter that wheel at any point, or is it sequential? Can you enter it, let's say at a midpoint and then come in around at the beginning, or is it following in a sequence along that wheel?
Well, Maureen Murdoch thinks it typically follows in sequence, but in a circular fashion. And she says you can go through it more than once. She does say that if you skip steps, you're probably going to have to redo it. So there's there's no skipping the dark night of the soul. Sorry, you can't.
No.
Because you have to fall apart or release in some way the things you've been holding on to as so dear and attached to, right? So
I think reading the book will probably help, understand it more. So this is the first I've heard of it. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'll be ordering the book. I'm really fascinated.
It is fascinating. I hear it's available on Audible too. So
even better.
If you like to listen to books, there is a workbook. Asma's just identifying there's a workbook too. Yeah. There is. When I got it, it was really expensive. I'm not sure if it still is. I got one of her old ones. It's really expensive, but I had to have it. I just want to say that share this with your friends, share this with the other people in your life, because we all know about the hero's journey and we don't know about the heroine's journey. And Maureen Murdoch is brilliant, but most of us have never heard of her.
Moving on, she definitely is. What lessons would you say, Laureen, the heroine's journey framework offers us as female leaders and change makers?
There's so many, but I thought I would identify the primary ones I identify with. I'm just going to refer to my notes here. The first one is that, we're not on this journey alone. We are on a well-traveled path, and the dark night of the soul is not the end of the story. I think that's really important when we're in that kind of a place. I want to read this quote from Maureen's book itself. She says this: "The ultimate quest for women at this time," that was in 1990, and I would say still the same, "in our Western culture is to fully embrace our feminine nature, learning how to value ourselves as women and to heal the deep wound of the feminine. It's an important inner journey toward being whole and content." So that's the biggest lesson. Some sub-lessons to that I've identified in my journey are self-trust. So when we can truly trust ourselves, we know we can handle anything. Like sometimes, a client will say, "I don't trust so-and-so," and we'll explore self-trust, because if you truly trust yourself, you don't need to trust anybody else, because you know you can make it through whatever comes your way. The second is external achievements are not going to make you happy if you've suppressed parts of yourself in order to achieve them. Thirdly, and I think I already touched on this, but if we find ourselves lost, we don't know what life is all about, we think things are falling apart, just know that we're in a transformation. We are falling apart in order to become something else. And this is the inner journey. So the hero's journey is very much an outward, external journey, and the heroine's journey is an internal one. Embracing all of your parts is important because your unique combination of gifts and skills may be the unique combination that the world needs. And when I think about some of the climate crisis that we're up against, your particular combination of masculine, feminine brilliance may be exactly what we need to come up with some solutions. So don't leave them at the door. And finally, knowing our past experience and that there is a reason for it. For example, because I was coping or adjusting to a patriarchal culture which told me I was inferior, means I'm not broken. The culture was. So I was saying, it's not me, it's patriarchy. And men can say that too. You know, they're not in touch with their emotions. Well, it's not me, it's patriarchy. However, then the next step is healing that, right? And we are all daughters of patriarchy. I've identified 6 primary archetypes of the daughters of patriarchy. So you can watch for these. One is the people pleaser or nice girl. 2 is the overachiever. 3 is the helper overfunctioner. So she's doing a lot for everybody else. 4, the perfectionist. 5, the warrior. I almost called her the nasty woman a la Trump, but I didn't. And 6, the shell woman. She's just totally given up and there's nothing left. So when we can divest ourselves of all of these shoulds and these limiting beliefs and step outside of the archetypes, there is a reclaiming of our full power and our unconditional love for ourselves. And that just lights me up. Like, women are magnificent. We are all magnificent. Why wouldn't we want to be fully ourselves, right? So there's freedom on the other end of that journey.
There is. Thank you so much, Laureen. I love your 6 archetypes as well. And I definitely can see myself in one of those in particular from the past, but I'm recovered. Until next week, anyway. Anyway, so I'd like to throw out to the group. Oh, Liz, you got your hand up. Did you have a question? Or was that from before?
No, I just had a comment that dovetails into what Laureen was just saying. And I'm struck by looking at I looked it up so I could still have a picture of it on my phone so I could study the circle, you know, the journey. And I was struck by how the first part of it seems to be, you know, sort of being born into the world as it is. And the second part of it is going within and finding balance, finding completion, like all the inner work, and then the integration at the end. Whereas on the regular hero's journey, I don't have it memorized, but it seemed to be more, as you said, externally driven with mentors and more external challenges than internal. So that I just thought that was really interesting, that the heroine's journey is more internal and the hero's journey is more external. I thought it was a really important point. So,
well, thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. So put it out to the group. Anyone who'd like to respond. Do you think things have changed much since Maureen Murdoch wrote her book in 1990? And if so, how? Do people think in general? Does somebody want to raise their hand and I'll take whoever's first here? Anyone want to comment on this? If somebody's, yeah. Okay, then I'm going to take Asma. Do you want to share? Do you think anything's changed? You want to comment?
If anything changed, I won't have a business. Yeah, I'm all about the integration of the masculine and the feminine and really creating that harmony within us, because it's not really about a balance. And yeah, not many things have changed. And like, just from a personal experience, I am from Morocco. And so the way I was born, it was like, I am here just to procreate and to clean. And that's about it. Like, I had zero, and I was born in the like late 70s. And so now things are slowly a little bit changing, but then you can see that that wound is still there. It's an intergenerational wound. And when I work with women from all around the world, like, it's the same. You can all feel the same thing. And it's always that we are overusing the masculine, because when we deep down unconsciously, it says that the feminine is weak. And even if we start to recognize that feeling and emotion and intuition is important, like, the world is slowly opening to that with spirituality and everything, but it's still like in small steps. And so women who are here, and thanks to Laureen today, learning about Heroine journey, is for all of us to start making these giant leaps and really going through it and helping other women to go through this Heroine journey, so we can see a difference. So to answer your question, not much has changed, not yet.
Thanks, Asma. I appreciate your insights. Yvonne, do you want to share?
Yeah, I too would say we're definitely not at that critical mass we need to be at yet, the tipping point. I recall when I first took my certified executive coach designation, within a couple of years, and this is going back 14 years now, but within a couple of years, there was a couple of presentations shared at one of the global ICF conferences I wasn't able to make. And they came back basically saying, you know, men need to start paying more attention to the softer side of leadership, which I equate to the feminine energy, and definitely look at the distinction between only focusing on your the stock price and the results and the hard numbers inside of business, and looking at the impact that conscious businesses can make when it's done well, and there is some heart and soul. And I think today that's what people are recognizing and they're craving as they're coming out of COVID. They want to come back to a workplace and be engaged and be cared for, as well as given something, you know, other than a paycheck. So I am seeing COVID is playing a part in this. I don't think we're quite there yet, and that's part of the work I focus on, which is that collaborative, connected conversation based on values. And that doesn't really matter whether it's male or female that is speaking. It's about, do you really care and do you really connect, and are you really hearing the other person, and you're hearing them and acknowledging that you care because you're doing something with the information. So it's not just giving women lip service, it's actually acting on what we're asking or sharing and presenting as a great idea, and we're backing it up with our own stats because we're more confident, I believe, to do so now. Thanks for sharing,
Yvonne.
Laureen. Interesting conversation.
Some good points. Thank you, Yvonne. Evelyn, did you want to share? And then Donna.
Yeah, I agree with you, Yvonne. It's those are hopeful signs that are happening, but there's a real worry. Like, I'm so old, I was around when the first wave of women's lib, when we burned our bras and and I was in university in those days, and it was huge movement and it was powerful. And, you know, and all the hard fought gains. And in the last couple of years, to see the political choices that were being made in the States with the Roe versus Wade, and there seems to be an attempt of the patriarchy to squash women more than ever. And it really concerns me that there's this backlash. And I think women cannot, and I worry about the young women not understanding how much work went into gaining those reaching those achievements, and that they can be lost so quickly. And so that's a concern that I have for my granddaughters. And I mean, my daughters are already old, so I'm worried about my granddaughters entering those years of their teens and 20s, and they're already in their teens. And I worry, to be honest, for them. And what can we do? How can we do this?
Yeah.
How can we help this? So
To
that's
re-
my.
If I could respond just briefly, Evelyn, I think that there are more movements like this, like Female Wave of Change, receiving a Women of Inspiration Award in 2018, and that group is now Universal Women's Network. It goes a long way, and I think this year they have 900 applications for nomination, which is amazing. So there are big enough groups now, I think, that are getting notoriety for acknowledging women, and the more that we see ourselves as role models and expound on that, the better, which is one reason I have my radio show to actually share those stories of rising from tragedy to triumph and getting the work of amazing women out there. Because the more it's heard and seen that it's possible, I think we cultivate those young women and young minds to see, yeah, go for it.
Thanks, Yvonne and Evelyn. Donna, and then I'll take Anessa. Whoops,
Where did she go?
where'd you go?
Oh, there you are.
I may be the eternal optimist, but I see more reasons for celebration than for feeling it's not going far enough. The very fact that all of these women of power are gathered here today, and it took a leader like Pam to bring us together, and all of the other women here that are contributing to this and our projects and around the world. And the first thing when we started discussing that came to my mind was one of the very first, and names are gone, but one of the women that was presenting, it may have been the police officers, was talking about women lead, it's power with, not power over. It's overt rather than covert, or it's covert rather than overt, and then it becomes common. We lead by mothering. We lead by sisterhood. We lead by bringing sisterhood and brotherhood together, and it's a rising in consciousness of the planet. So we need to be gentle with ourselves and gentle with others as we bring this to the forefront and become the leaders that we already are, that the world might not be aware of yet. We're here, we're doing it, and it's happening. And I have multiple conversations with my daughters and granddaughters, and they're ranging from age 5 to 20 in the granddaughter range, and the kids are in their 40s, and I was well aware of the bra burning. And the saddest thing for me was Roe versus Wade. I think we need to protect the rights of all women to make their own choices about their life and their destiny. So we just need to pick our pony and ride it. That's it.
Appreciate your positivity and optimism, Donna. Thank you. Anessa, and then finally Sar.
I'm really enjoying the discussion, Laureen. Thank you so much for bringing this into my world. I think the observation I have, and I'll look at it again through my notes, but I find that with social media in particular, and because of our nurturing nature as women, we tend to feel compelled to share when only things are going well. We've had a win. And sometimes we don't even share those as often as we should. I think we have a difficult time coming out publicly and saying, things aren't going well. This bombed, this isn't working out, this failed. And I think when I look at that entire 10-step process that you've laid out, or that's been laid out with this journey, I'm reminded of the fact that the best thing I can share and learn and grow is by sharing those moments of total darkness and defeat. That this is part of my human experience, and not being ashamed or assigning any kind of judgment to that experience when I am showing up online. We tend to focus on things that reflect only when things are going well publicly, right? And some of that is a more masculine approach as well. If it's successful, you should talk about it. You know, it's important. If it has a number, if it made you money, if it associated with status or privilege, you should get online and talk about that. But what I think we need to do to bring more harmony between these energies really is to talk about our experiences in their totality. And when things aren't going well, I set as a role model for other women to say, oh, she's not bragging about this, or she's not just compelled to share when things are going well. She's just compelled to share because we can learn from that kind of total experience. So I just reminds me that I have a role to serve and I have a role to play, and just being honest and being myself in spite of social media and in spite of constraints that we live in.
Thanks, Anessa. Appreciate you. Sar.
Hi, thank you very much. I just want to share this from a down under experience. I'm from New Zealand, and I was brought up in a family where women were encouraged to be strong. And we gave women the right to vote first. So women are very much seen as being equal, and the New Zealand men know this. So I had the biggest earnings in my life when I worked in New Zealand. And when I came to Canada, I went into shock because I couldn't believe how poorly women are paid and how they're seen as in addition, not as being central.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the heroine's journey, I think it's a cultural approach that needs to take place, and women shouldn't be afraid to speak up, because I've been told when I've been working in Canada I'm too blunt. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Canadians per se, but I think because I grew up thinking that this was normal, I struggle with this sometimes. Because it's like, why can't you say what is obvious? Why do you have to listen to someone speaking disrespectfully for whatever reason? So I think if I can suggest anything, we should support each other every time we have an opinion, whether we agree with it or not, just to get the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sar.
You're welcome.
It's interesting to hear the cultural experiences of Asma as well from her perspective growing up. So I think the cultural perspective is very key, and we all experience this in different ways. And it sounds like things haven't changed a lot. We have moved forward and we have moved back. However, there is optimism, and there's a lot of good people in this movement globally, and as Yvonne mentioned, in other networks and movements as well. So the time is right for us to take action and increase people's awareness of this heroine's journey, and to feel okay about it. So thank you. Yeah, Laureen, go for it. Yes.
I just wanted to make to finish off with a couple comments, and thank you everybody for your engagement and your comments. I agree with all of you, and I think there's in my journey, what I've seen a lot of is the need for women to come together and work together. And so that's why groups like this, are so important. So let's keep doing this together. Sorry, my cat loves me. And find ways to get together, to have these conversations, to support each other. One of the ways that we are kept separate is making us think that we can't work together. and that, women, are going to backbite and all those things that they've told us about each other. And so that's really important to me, and standing up for each other when you see something happening. Your voice is really important. I think in the workplaces a lot, we see ourselves being interrupted. I see a lot of women being interrupted by men speaking over them. And then the other phenomenon is taking credit for something we just said. Like, we've all been there. So some women that I know have actually gotten together and created a bond where they go into a meeting and they actually have a strategy for how they're going to make sure that the woman gets credit for her own voice and things like this. So, there is a coming together, there is an organizing around it. So yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate all your comments.
Thank you, and it's not over yet. We're going to go into breakouts right now, and I'd like to introduce Michelle Rogers, who is our treasurer, and she's going to set us up for these. Now, we'll put in, everybody, you're going to be put in a group of 3, and you'll have 3 minutes to share a little bit about yourself, and then to focus on deepening the discussion about these 2 questions. And they're going to be put in the chat just now, so you'll have them. And the 2 questions are: in what ways does this framework resonate or not with your experience? And where are you today in your heroine's journey? So what I would ask you to do when you head to the groups is the person with the longest hair, I would ask them to go first. And I would ask you to choose a timekeeper so that you can keep to the 3 minutes each, and everybody has their time. We'll give you a little bit of time to exit and enter too. And if someone also will offer to share the key takeaways in the larger group. Everybody clear? Okay. Michelle, work your magic. There we are.
Well, now I have 16 participants. Oh my goodness.
Oh, did they go down? Did we lose a couple people?
Oh, no. We've got us, and then, I guess we didn't get assigned to a room because we're host and co-host.
That's typically what happens, yes. And we will still be in the recording, just so you know.
Okay. Okay.
So we can answer the questions in what ways does the framework resonate or not with your experience?
Yeah. So gosh, for me, I just think absolutely 100%. I totally get the cycle of approaching my career. It's always men. There's like, I'm the sole lone woman kind of sitting around the table, or there might be another woman around the leadership table, and having to adopt just different masculine approaches, right? The sports analogies, for one, drives me crazy. But and I remember once I was in a board meeting, and there was this I was presenting a budget and trying to explain how it's the numbers aren't going to flow like this. There's going to be an awkward stage, and I said it's like growing out your bangs to a room full of men. And I did it intentionally because I'm like, you know what, you guys use sports analogies all the time. You don't know how hard it is to grow out your bangs. So so I've definitely adopted that. And then I've definitely gone through a period of just everything being thrown up in the air and gone through that darkness to figure out kind of who I am and stuff. And then it's interesting that Laureen said, as you embrace your feminine, you start seeking goddess circles. And so last fall was really, I was really connected and drawn to just being more feminine and girly. And now I feel like I understand that integration of masculine and feminine, because I feel like I can walk into a room as a woman, but be powerful and still embody those male attributes of, you know, of decisiveness and pushing through and those types of things, but
Right.
doing it from a I feel place kind of thing. So yeah, it's interesting, and I feel like I'm still going through the cycle, right? So
Yeah, I find it fascinating just seeing all the steps. And when I was reading the book, and I haven't finished it yet, but when I started reading the book and it came to the part of differentiating from your mother, I can still remember when I was about 13, exactly that. I thought like she was a doormat to my father, because, you know, he would say, I need a fork. And he would like expect the three daughters or the mother to run and get it. It wouldn't say, can you please get me one, or just get up and get it. I need a fork. And I just sort of thought to myself, I'm never going to be a waitress to a man. I'm never going to be a maid to a man.
Yes.
Especially,
Yeah.
I've managed to be with men who don't expect that. So that's a good thing.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I so got that. And I so got from a young age, even though I've spent more time with my mother than my father, recognizing the power that he had and wanting to have that power. And then, you know, it's like, you know, he was very goal oriented, and, you know, even like learning, like swimming at swimming lessons, and I'd be practicing between the docks at our cottage, and he'd say, Pam, one more, you can do one more. Always push, 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 keep raising the bar, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
isn't a bad thing, because it made me very ambitious, and I have accomplished a lot of stuff in my life. But there comes a point where, yeah, then I did burn out. And then I did have to take some time, and I chose to take the time, and it was very fruitful because I really connected with my creative side. And that's when I started to write more, and, you know, and yet it's interesting because before that happened officially, I did connect with my creative side. And it was more, and I noted, and I formed this creative healing center on the web. And I felt like I was standing on two Swiss balls, because I had my clients who were research institutes and national health professionals organizations, such as the Canadian Medical Association, and government departments, and, you know, doing this kind of stuff. And then starting a creative healing center, integrating alternative methods of healing with the arts, and supporting people coach them through a variety of life transitions. And I thought, some of my clients, I cannot share this with, because they will think I've gone totally crackers, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, and that was in 2008, 2009, when I studied coaching, and then I started a coaching business. And then it was really interesting, that journey. So I didn't burn out. I think I've been blessed with a lot of energy, but it wasn't till doing crazy things like Afghanistan, and then an NGO for a year on contract, where I really pushed my body to the fullest, that I just, you know, where it happened. But I feel that it's very relevant, and I think it's important to teach women about it. And because, yeah, again, if you have the knowledge, as people have said, you feel like you're not alone, and you feel like you're not crazy, that others are going through it. And the goddess circles, I haven't participated in a goddess circle, but I've been interested in the equinoxes for a while, and energy work for a while, and intuition, and valuing my intuition. So I feel, partly because of my age and all the stuff I've done, I feel like I'm pretty close to integrating my masculine and feminine. I'm feeling like I'm pretty close.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Like when you talk about your dad and your dad's influence on your upbringing. So my dad was like, my mom moved from Edmonton to Vancouver when I was like a year and a half. And so it was just summers up until I was 6, 5 maybe. And then I didn't see my dad until I was 27.
Oh my, after you were 5.
Yeah.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was just because I was getting married and I didn't invite him to the wedding because who was he to me? And my grandmother wrote me a letter and said, you know, it means a lot to me. You guys should, that, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you know, and from my standpoint, I'm like, I don't know this guy. Why am I going to invite him to a wedding when I don't even know? So, but his energy is not, like he is not a push. He is a work hard. He is not a you need to do. He's not he will never tell you exactly what you need to do, or he will never offer his opinion unless it's solicited. So he has a different, I think even if he was in my life, it would be a different
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, our experiences. I just wanted to ask you something. Could we shave 2 minutes off this because we're already overtime a little bit? Could you bring people back in 3 minutes and 10 seconds instead of 5?
Yes.
Okay, if you can do that, that'd be great, because I'm a little bit concerned about the time.
I'm just going to send a message saying that we're a little.
No, you don't have to do that, because I actually said I sent a note. I said to people, it's only 3 minutes. Instead of
okay.
I sent you a note, but you didn't see it. Okay.
Okay.
So you don't have to.
Yeah, so I'll close it. Like I can see the countdown is like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And so I'll just close it down in a minute and a half. Or do you want me to close it down now?
No, don't close it now. Close it down when it's around 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's roughly around 2 minutes, if that's okay. I didn't mean to disrupt our conversation, but I was conscious of the time, and I wanted people to be able to share. And if we stay in groups all the time, they won't share in the larger group, but they're sharing in the group. So that's a good thing too, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, and so just going back to the connecting with your feminine. So in Peachland, there's new moon and full moon ceremonies. And then my acupuncturist had started, she's Parisian, she's Persian. And so she had started a divine feminine, like just teaching Persian dancing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, kind of belly dancing kind of thing. And it was just really a way to learn how to connect. And she said, like, this is the feminine where it's the flirty, it's the hands, you're very delicate, you're doing, you know, like this. Yeah. And it's cultivating that strong, powerful goddess kind of energy, right? It was, so that was fun. That was fun to just go, oh yeah, I like being a woman.
Yeah. It's cool. Have you heard of Joan Boroshenko?
No.
She's a PhD. She was involved in mind body medicine like in the 70s with John Kabat-Zinn, and she's written about 17 books. She's burned out. Wow. She's about 75, 76 now. But she is offering with her friend Gilda, I forget Gilda's last name, something about the Dharma of aging. And the promotion for it is these old, I think they're Egyptian or Roman goddesses with different, they're quite robust, and somebody has animated them. So they're all dancing. When you look at them, it's really showing off their curves, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool. And I love the new moon ceremonies and such like too. And there's a woman called Christina Rilo who lives on Bainbridge Island, but now she's somewhere else. I think in Asheville for a while. Anyway, and I've taken some retreats. Here we go to bring them back.
Okay. Oh, it says all breakout rooms will close in 60 seconds. Oh, shit.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
And then so 74. So 74. And just so that's 544. 554. 554. Is it 554 that I'm supposed to be ending?
No, that's 5:44. That no,
5:44.
but that's no. There's 5 minutes to. Anyway, people are coming back, so it's okay. We're
Okay.
welcome back, everybody.
Go.
I think we're still waiting for a few more folks to come back. Here they all come. Yay, yay. Okay, somebody want to share some key takeaways from their group? Anybody? Donna.
Oh, we had a rockin' group. Thank you, France and Therese. We had a lovely time. I've got quick 3 summarize. Get the men involved. There are men out there that get it. We just don't let them show it. So we have to invite them to be involved. And then we get to recognize when they already are. To be rather than do. This isn't about doing and doing and doing to create something. It's about being who you are, where you are, when it's happening, and being the witness to yours and everybody else's evolution. Don't lose the feminine and don't be more masculine to progress. It was just about, my old motto, knowing, growing, flowing, and glowing. Put your glow on, girls. We got it.
Thanks, Donna. Deborah, did you want to share?
I can't read my writing. Anyways, we did too. We had a fabulous group. It was like the mind, body, spirit group getting together and having a big heart hug. Barbara and Evelyn, and Barbara feels that she's really come a long way. She's a writer and an intuitive, so she's gone through a number of the dark night of the souls and feels that she's coming to a deeper level, and that's what you had said earlier, Laureen. And Evelyn has really been through a major crisis with spending 8 years taking care of her husband, who they were like the masculine and feminine, the opposite, and they had the roles, and it was just perfect. And then it had to end, and there was a lot of health issues, and he ended up passing away, and she's finding herself again and looking at the balance in her life. So it's a real journey for her. And so we've been seeing it. And me, well, I just happen to be in a dark night of the soul. And it's actually, maybe I've had 2 or 3 of them. So this is the one that's going really deep. And so it's like, holy cow, I feel that I'm sort of on your wheel there. I mean, I don't know where I am, but I'm all over mishmash. But I know that it's like, yeah, if I don't do it this time, we're just going to have to come back and do it again. But I'm sure there'll be even a deeper level. So there's been a lot of resonance for me on what you've been saying here. And I think I love the hero's journey. I love the heroine's journey, because it's like I'm going through this existential crisis, and it's like, who the heck am I in the way and how I'm living, and what's another level that I can bring out into the world so I can be that really big, mushy, gushy person and do my part like everybody here wants to do. And it's like, so we had a great fun in our group. So yeah. So if anybody wants to talk about Dark Night of the Soul, you can call me.
Thanks, Deborah. I appreciate you sharing your vulnerability. Somebody else want to share for their group? I don't see another hand, so. Anybody? Liz, go for it.
Well, I notice how much was in my mind during the conversation. Usually I remember what people say, and this time it's interesting. I'm drawing kind of a blank because our conversation was very feminine in the way that it was all over the place. We're like circling around to this and that, and actually that there were a number of points that were brought up. One of them was how we ping pong around the circle. And it really is what we were relating to is that it isn't just a progression as much, but a ping pong, or in different layers of our lives. There's, we're here in one layer of our life, we're there in another layer of our life. And like, I know for me, at first, it didn't resonate with me until I gave it a whole lot of thought. And then it began to pop more open for me too. I think reading the book is probably a really good idea. I'm sure there's like each one of these concepts could be really expanded. And we all resonated with Dark Night of the Soul, of course. And the last thing I just want to mention is that, it's taken from Joseph Campbell's work, I'm assuming, or at least the model of a journey is taken from his work. And I wondered what it would be like to overlay the hero's journey with the heroine's journey and see how they differ, and what parts of the hero's journey can actually be applicable to women, because we're not, I guess I don't know how to say this any differently, but we're not just in a woman's world where, we have both parts. And so it was just an interesting conversation and a lot to learn from the book.
Thanks, Liz. Laureen, did you want to close on this before I officially thank you, or are you good?
Thank you. I had Marn, the only man in my group.
Okay.
So I just wanted to share with you, because it's such a privilege to have that, to say that it was such a beautiful example of the healed masculine being able to have this conversation, and even being here tonight, and how heartening that is to me. And I expect to many of you as well. And he shared that some of the points along the circle resonated and others didn't. So that was interesting. And he also talked about how emotionally there are, he's tired of the script too, the script for men. I mean, we're all tired of this damn script. So that was really, really nice. And Anessa talked about how her experience with men in the workplace started with awareness, the need for awareness around the internal journey, and how that gets us stuck so often. So from my group, that's what I wanted to share. In closing, I wanted to say this whole journey is about wholeness and unconditional self-love. So the journey of life, whether you call it a heroine or a hero, or your man or your woman, or whatever it is, it's about coming back to our essence and believing fully in that, without the script, without the false self-beliefs. And as women, I want to engage you to get rid of 3 false self-beliefs. The one that says, I'm not enough. The one that says, I'm not worthy or deserving. And thirdly, the one that says, I'm not lovable. Those are all consequences of being a woman in a culture that doesn't value you. So get rid of it, release it, do whatever it takes to do that work, so that you can be free and fully actualized. That's my closing.
Thank you so much, Laureen. You've stimulated so much discussion, and there's just so much to learn around this. So thanks very much for sharing your wisdom and introducing us to this heroine's journey framework and model. Really appreciated it. So if people want to learn more about you and your work, Laureen, what's the best way to do that? I think Michelle's going to put a few things in the chat, but did you want to highlight a couple of things?
Well, I think the best way to get a hold of me, yeah, she's going to put my stuff in there, but is just to email me at laureen@laureennowlancard.ca. And because most people can't spell my name, just check it out in the chat. And I love to have conversations.
Michelle just put it in. So there's Laureen's website, there's her email address, or maybe Laureen. Anyway. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. now I'd like to hand off to Asma, and Asma is another one of our board members, and she is our Director of Communications and Outreach, and is very amazing at tech and automation and all sorts of things as well as marketing. So Asma, I hand it off to you regarding the survey.
Thank you very much. Laureen, thank you again so much for a very, very inspiring evening. Really appreciate it. For everyone, if you have something beautiful to say to Laureen, you're welcome to put it in the chat for her. It's always nice to get those little love notes. On our end, we would love to help us fill out a quick survey. It will only take you less than 2-3 minutes. It's a way for us to gather your input about this monthly event and how we can better serve you and how we can bring more of what you are looking for in order for us to create this beautiful community. And so I think like the survey link is right there, and I will give us around 1 to 2 minutes. I'll be playing a little bit some music, and if you can just take the time to do it, you can easily do it directly from your computer or from your iPhone or iPad. Very easy to do. So I will give you 1 to 2 minutes. Here we go. Thirty seconds. Thank you again for each woman and men here who chose to fill out that beautiful survey for us. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Amazing. Great. So what I would love to do next is I would love to tell you a little bit more about everything we have been doing on the back end to make this community even better, and also share for the people who are new to Female Wave of Change about who we are and what we do. So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen. I have so many things here. And let me know once you can see my screen properly. All good? Amazing. Great. So we are women and men from Canada, representing Female Wave of Change. And so, as you know, and like what Pamela have shared at the beginning, we are here as part of a big global social movement and community that we are almost in 40 countries. And really our goal is to strengthen the feminine leadership and really helping leading a change towards a better world. Like our core values will always stay around authentic feminine leadership, partnership and collaboration, gender equality, embracing diversity, of all forms, interconnectedness, and sustainability, because that's what we want. We want a beautiful world that will stay for next generations for a long, long time. And so when we look at our pillars here, like there are key 5 pillars. And so it's economy, education, environment, humanity, and health and wellness. And so really here, like that means that any project, any social project that we are starting within this community or that we are supporting will be part of one of these top 5 key areas that we truly believe in. And so there's a lot of membership benefits. I'm sure you've already like using and experiencing some of them. Well, the first one, like we already mentioned, there is that connection with the global community of women. And the beautiful news is that they started a global directory for all the members across the world. And so that's a beautiful way to connect with other women around the world through chatting with them, connecting with them, sharing about who you are, and things like that. It's about showcasing your expertise at one of our monthly events or future retreats, contributing to some of those key projects that we mentioned. So right now we have one project that is running right now for environment for young girls. And so when there are like new projects coming in, it's like always great to have impactful and very incredible women like you members to support us in contributing and helping with those projects. And also be part of our intimate collective wisdom circle. And we will be starting one very soon that I'll be talking a little bit about a little bit later. And experience firsthand the power of collaborative partnerships, because I assume the more we are in these meetings and we connect and we get to know each other, the more there's this natural partnerships and collaboration that's going to start to get created. We will be working in the future on leadership development and mentoring. We have an amazing mentor consultant here in the group, Yvonne. Apply to speak at either Female Wave of Change regional or global stages. Receive any member price, and of course for any our future events. And the beauty is like we also now have a private LinkedIn online community that we just launched, and Pamela will be sending more information about that soon. But that will be like a nice little place for us to celebrate each other and support each other and talk about our challenges and really be in that shadow feminine and shadow masculine. And when we grow together, we're integrated, we can all be part of it. And so we will have like a group where we can share all of that. We started planning some local intimate in-person events across Canada. Pamela has went to like 3 or 4 during this summer. We're starting like some breakfast brunches like once every 2 months that will happen. And so if there are any champions that want to do them in your own region or your own city, let us know. And of course, we cannot do everything without doing some celebration at some point. And so we're hoping to do a yearly celebration. And so the way we have set up the membership is that we created in 3 levels: supporter, champion, and sisterhood. The supporter is really the level of like 1 year, the $100, and it gives you access to all of these memberships. The second level is the champion. And basically the idea here is because we are a startup, we are still young, is that of course it will help us to have champions that believe in our mission and what we are doing. And so when members can sign up for 3 years, they get a discount of $50, and that also allows us to have some cash flow so we can launch some project and create more things to support our members. And the third level, one that I love very much, is the sisterhood one, where you can sponsor another woman. You will have a membership for 2 years and you'll be able to sponsor another woman with you for 2 years. And we already have a beautiful example of that with Donna and Sar tonight. Thank you so much, Donna, for creating that for sisterhood. And so some of the beautiful things that our members said, like Michelle, who is in one of our board members too, is like, really getting and filled up by energy every time there is an opportunity to be part of this group, but also getting an opportunity to up-level her skills in facilitating or managing breakout rooms and getting better with technicals and things like that. So there's always that space for growth and opportunities for growth. the beautiful Anessa, who always share that they're incredibly insightful and very fluid type of meeting that we are having, where we are co-creating together. And Jessica, who attended our Earth Day event, and she was very struck by the power of connection and how many people have many projects that are like united in the one vision. And so as you can see, like this is small examples of how members really feel about the power of this community. And we would love for you to share more of that with other women in your in your network. And so for our wisdom circles, the beautiful Anessa Collins will be our coordinator for that one. It will be a 6-month collective wisdom. It will be starting on October 12th. And the theme for this one is how to listen to and trust in your body's wisdom. Isn't that like so perfectly tied with tonight's conversation about embracing your feminine and connecting to it, and how we can listen to our body wisdom? So each circle will have a maximum of 10 women. So at this point, we're thinking to only have one circle running, I think, this fall. And the meetings will happen the second Wednesday of every month from 4:30 to 6, like tonight. And the beauty is the first one starts on October 12th, and the last one will be exactly on International Women's Day. Isn't that like amazing? On March 8, 2023. And so if you want to apply, there is like a short, quick application. It's really going to be first come, first serve. It's for all our members. I've been part of the first one, and it was incredible. I wanted more. It's about really sharing your wisdom and receiving wisdom from other women and having this very rich conversation. So it's not about a speaker coming in and talking, but it's really about sharing and really creating that beautiful collective intelligence and collective wisdom with women. And it really create very strong ties and connection with each other. It's just so beautiful. So if you haven't done one, I really invite you to go and jump on this one. It's going to be amazing and coordinated by the beautiful Anessa. It's just going to be extra incredible. And so if you want to sign up, Female Way of Change Canada membership, if you have any friends, any women that you think will be an incredible addition and bring so much value to this community, please share that with us, with them. And same thing, if this group can bring a lot of value and support a lot of women in their heroine journey or their life journey, we are here for that. So thank you very much. And if there's any questions, I am here. Pamela is here. And I will let Pamela talk about the upcoming events as well.
Yes, apologies for keeping us a couple minutes over here. There was a lot of sharing tonight, so I didn't want to cut it off. But yes, just so you know, our meetings are the third Wednesday of every month from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 till 9 Eastern. And we have a great featured guest in store for us on October 19th, Deb Alcadino. And the topic is becoming a business for social good. What does it take? So, and the links Michelle has just put in the chat. So if you want to sign up, the bit.ly link is there. And just so you know, yes, so we welcome members and non-members and potential members, I will say, to our monthly meetings. And however, we encourage you to be a member if you feel like you're enjoying the experience. Yes, and for those who are members, just a quick plug for our AGM, September 28th, 4:30 as well. So look forward to seeing some of you there. And we're going to have a facilitated piece there. So we want to gather your ideas and input at that moment. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been really inspiring to see the level of discussion. And again, thank you, Laureen, for sharing your wisdom and introducing many of us to this concept of the heroine's journey and its relevance for today's women and today's leaders. Yes, and thank you all. And just to end on a positive note, if people would like to say in one word how they're feeling right now and just type it in the chat, we welcome that. So I invite you to do that.
Thank you. While people are doing that, I just have to jump in and tell you that this Female Wave of Change is like no other organization I've been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of them. They're action oriented. So we're actively 18 months into a project for girls between the age of 9 and 12 to go into the woods and have a mother tree experience. It's called the Mother Earth Ambassadors Program. So we are creating this. The curriculum is being created now. We are fundraising for this very worthy cause. And so when you come into Female Wave of Change, some of your funds, at least at the moment, all of them actually go towards that project. So please, please help us out with that. It's very worthy. Thanks.
Thank you, Laureen. Always appreciate it. So bye, everybody. Thanks for staying a couple minutes late, and look forward to hopefully seeing you next month. Take good care.
Thanks
Bye.
everybody for
Thank you.
coming.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.